Welcome viewers to my class of design of steel structures. I am Dr. R.P. Singh Kushwaha, structural designer and chartered engineer. I am professor in civil engineering department of Global Institute of Technology, Jaipur. Today we are going to design N-type lattice girder bridge. So please see the video carefully and get benefited. Thank you. Hello viewers, welcome in design of foot over bridge N-type lattice girder bridge. So today we will design lattice girder bridge N-type. First of all, you have to look at the drawings. These are two drawings of two type of foot over bridges. One is through type foot over bridge, while the passage is on the lower chord members, then it is called as through type foot over bridge, and while the passage is on the top chord members, then it is called as deck type of bridge. So you can see the drawings. Now design of foot over bridge may be divided into two parts. First is design of cross girder or cross beam, and second is then design loads in N-type truss beam members and design for the worst load condition. So this is the problem given. Design a foot over bridge having a span of 24 meters, width of walkway is 4 meter, flooring is RCC slab 110 mm thick, and live load is 5 kilonewton over it. Floor finish load is 0.75 kilonewton per meter square, and yield stress Fy is to be taken 250 MPa. Suppose this is the bridge. Now you can see the different members. This is cross section and this is top plan. So this is side elevation. So you can see the truss girders. This is truss girder which is bearing the total load of the bridge, and because the section here formed is N type, so it is called as N type lattice girder bridge. And this bridge is through type bridge because the passage is on the lower chord members as shown in this figure, and this is the width of walkway. As you can see here, this is the width of walkway, and this is total H height of the bridge. So first of all, geometrical design of the foot over bridge. So what should be the geometry? We will decide it. Assume depth H of the foot over bridge equal to L by 8. Here span is 24 meter, so the height H is 3 meters. Now panel length. Panel length means, as you are seeing here in these drawings, this is the panel length, one panel length. So this panel length is to be assumed as L by 8 again. So this is also 3 meter. Length of the diagonal member you can find out under the root square of the sides. So it comes out to be 4.24 meter. So number of panels, because the span of panel is 3 meter, so number of panels will be span divided by 3 meter, this. So total number of panel will be 8 numbers. Now design of cross girder beam. So first of all, to design the cross girder beam, we have to find out the loads over cross girder. So dead load on the cross girder will be this way. because slab thickness is 110 mm or 0.11 meter. So and this is unit weight of RCC 25. So total weight dead load per square meter is 2.75 meter square, and floor finish as given in the question is 0.75 kilonewton per meter square. So this is all dead load. So now live load on the cross girder. So live load is 5 kilonewton per square meter. So addition of these live load and dead load, it is total load on the cross girder, that is 8.5 kilonewton per meter square. Now span of cross girder is 4 meter because the uh, width of walkway is given 4 meter as shown here in this drawing. So width of panel is 3 meter. So we have to find out per meter length load. So load on cross girder per span. So per span load on cross girder will be of 3 meter because the panel length is 3 meter. So 8.5 multiplied by 3, this comes out to be 25.5 kilonewton per meter. And self weight of the cross girder, you assume it 0.5 kilonewton per meter. So it total load per meter load on the cross girder comes out to be 26 kilonewton per meter. Now factor it. So on factoring, this comes out to be 39 kilonewton per meter. So a 39 kilonewton per meter load is applied on a cross girder having a span of 4 meter. So maximum bending moment will be 78.78 kilonewton meter, and maximum shear force will be half of it. So 39 into 4, because 39 kilonewton per meter load is there. So 39 into 4 divided by 2, it comes out to be 78 kilonewton. Okay, now required plastic section modulus for this maximum bending moment will be ZP will be maximum bending moment MP into gamma MO divided by Fy. So putting the values, it comes out to be 343.20 centimeter cube. So provide a section ISLB 275 at the rate 330 Newton per meter. This is the unit weight. This is the weight per meter length. Now the section modulus provided is 443.09 centimeter cube, and this is more than the required 343.20 centimeter cube, as the section is okay. Now find out the section classification. So the section classification, you have to find out the plastic section modulus, or you have to check it for the stresses. So as we all know, epsilon is equal to under the root 250 over Fy. So it is 1, taken every time 1. The flange ratio should be Bf by 2 divided by Bt by 2, Bf by 2 divided by Bt. So it comes out to be, this ratio should be equal or less than 9.4 epsilon. So finding out the ratio, so Bf by 2 divided by Bt, it comes out to be 7.95, which is less than 9.4 epsilon. Hence it's okay. Now web ratio, web depth of the web divided by thickness of web, and this should be equal or less than 84 epsilon. Here depth D is 275 minus 2 times thickness of the web and 2 times thickness of the flange. So it comes out to be 229.4 mm and the ratio comes out to be 35.84, which is less than 84 epsilon. Okay, so design is perfect. Now check for moment capacity or moment of resistance of the section. So it should be beta ZP Fy divided by gamma mo, and it comes out to be 100.7 kilonewton meter, which is greater than 78 kilonewton meter. Hence the design is again okay. So we will perfectly provide this section and the section is okay. Now check for shear force. The shear force should be V is shear force, suppose. So 0.6 times V, this should be more than the coming shear stress. So what is V here? So calculate V equal to AV into Fy divided by root 3 gamma mo. This is the shear force coming on the girder, cross girder. So the AV sectional area of the girder is 275 into Fy into thickness of the web. So it is 6.4 multiplied by 250. 250 is the yield stress divided by root 3 into 1.1 gamma mo. So it comes out to be 230.94. Now shear force we have decided to be 0.6 times V. We are factoring it by 0.6. So the shear force comes out to be 138.56, and even this is more than the actual coming shear force 78 kilonewton as above. Hence it's okay as you have seen here. So it's okay. Now design of the chord members of the lattice girder bridge. So to finding out the load over the chord members in lattice girder, we have to find out the load on each lattice girder, because two lattice girder on both ends of the cross girder will be there, and the total load will be transferred to both the lattice girders. So dead load of the slab transferring towards the lattice girder will be 2.75 multiplied by 4 by 2, because 4 is total span of the cross girder and half load will be transferred to one lattice girder. So it is coming 5.5 kilonewton per meter. Hence the width of walkway is 4 meters for clarification, and the load will be half load will come on the one lattice girder. So it is 5.5 dead load of the slab, 5.5 kilonewton per meter. So floor finish is given already as 0.75 Newton per meter square. So multiplying by the half of the span, 4 by 2, it comes out to be 1.5 kilonewton per meter. And salvage of the lattice girder, assume that it is 0.7 kilonewton per meter. So total load comes out to be 7.7 kilonewton per meter. Now factor this load. So on factoring, this load comes out to be 11.6 kilonewton per meter. Now this is total dead load. Now come to the next live load. So live load is given 5 kilonewton per meter square. So the per meter load, live load will be 5 into 4 by 2. So it is coming 10 kilonewton per meter, and factored load on factoring this comes out to be 15 kilonewton per meter. So total load, live load and dead load on the lattice girder will be 11.6 plus 15. This is dead load 11.6 and this is live load 15. So it comes out to be 26.6 kilonewton per meter. Now you can see the lattice girder in side elevation, and height of this lattice girder is 3 meter, and these are the chord members, upper chord members, and these are bottom chord members, these are inclined members, and these are vertical members. So now calculate the forces in the members. We have to know about some facts. Those facts are, first number one, forces in L0 L1. Forces in L0 L1, bottom chord first member, horizontal member, and L7 L8, this last chord member of bottom chord, will be 0. There will be no load at all. And second, forces in member U0 U1 will be equal to L1 L2, means members between these parallel lines will be, the forces between these two parallel lines will be same but opposite in nature, means if load in this U0 U1 will be compressive, then load in L1 L2 will be tensile of nature. Next, third point, forces in members after U0 U4. U0 U4 means after the mid section, this is midpoint. After this mid section, the rest of the truss or girder is mirror image. So the forces in the members will be accordingly the same as in the mirror image. So now forces calculation in members is dependent on the internal loading diagram ILD. So we will see how the ILD is prepared and triangle and what is the load on the member. So first of all, talking about the load in first member, which is U0 U1, this vertical member U0 U1, this. So we have to draw a ILD, and this ILD will be like this. At L1 joint, it is having some height, this triangle is having some height, and this height will be H equal to A multiplied by L minus A divided by L multiplied by H, where A is, what is A? A is total number of spans multiplied by span length or panel length before the joint, and L is total span of the girder and H is height of the girder. So A is distance of joint from the support. So this is total distance from the left side of support. So you can find out the value of H for U0 L0 member. So height of the ILD comes out to be 0.875 meter. So you can calculate the force in member U0 L0 U0 L0. Sorry, we are finding out upper chord member, force in upper chord member. So the force in U0, U1 member will be area of ILD triangle multiplied by the intensity of the load total, which we have already find out, the live load plus dead load, and we have factored it already. So the total force in member U0 U1 will be half of, means area of triangle, which is half of 24. 24 is total span multiplied by the H, which is 0.875, into multiplied by the 26.6. This is total load, live load plus dead load. So it comes out to be 279.3 kilonewton, which is compressive in nature. Now force in U1 U2 member. So again, the force in U1 U2 member will be area of ILD multiplied by the 26.6. This is total load. And the joint where the height of triangle is taken, that is L2 joint. Means we are going at L2 joint. So the H will be the total length from the left hand is 2 panel length. So this is 2 into 3, 6, multiplied by the span L 24 minus 6 divided by 24 into 3. So it comes out to be 1.5 meter. Means height of the triangle of ILD, it comes out to be 1.5 meter. So force in member P U1 U2 comes out to be 478.80 kilonewton. It is again compressive in nature. Now force in U2 U3 member, so it will be area of ILD multiplied by 26.6 at third joint. So at third joint we will find out the height of the triangle, ILD triangle. So height will be 3 into 3 because it is third span and per panel length is 3 meters. So 3 into 3, 9, multiplied by 24 minus 9 divided by 24 into 3. So it comes out to be 1.875 meter. So total, we can find out total load in member U2 U3, which comes out to be 598.5 kilonewton, which is compressive in nature. So now finding out the load in member U3 U4. So force in member will be equal to area of ILD multiplied by 26.6. It is at fourth joint L4. So height of ILD diagram at fourth joint will be 4 multiplied by 3. This is 12, which multiplied by 24 minus 12 divided by 24 into 3. So it comes out to be 2 meters. So total force in member, horizontal member, upper chord member U3 U4 comes out to be half 24 into 2 into 26.6. It comes out to be 638.4 kilonewton, which is compressive in nature. And this is summary of the loads, because we have already talked about the forces in these member 1 and this member second, other member. The force in these members will be same but opposite in nature. So we can tabulate these like this. P U0 U1 will be equal to P L1 L2 but different in nature, or it will be negative force minus, it is tensile force. So it comes up to be 279.3 compressive nature, and in other member it will be tensile nature. So P U1 U2 will be equal to P L2 L3, and the force will be 478.80 compressive and tensile both natures. U2 and U3 member will be equal to load in L3 L4, and which is 598.5 compressive and tensile both natures. and my force in member U3 U4 will be 638.4, which will be compressive in nature. Okay, so now we have to find out the forces in vertical members. So force in vertical member U0 L0. So we have to find out the force in member vertical member U0 L0. So this force will be equal to area of ILD multiplied by the intensity of the load, total load. So here height of the triangle of ILD will be like this. The height in compression will be the spans ahead the member or span selected. Okay, so this height HC will be equal to 7 by 8, and this will be equal to 0.875, and it's in compression each and every time. The last member which is on support, it will be in compression. So the ILD diagram is in this form. So the total force in this member will be 279.3 kilonewton, which will be compressive in nature. Now come to the next member, which is PU1L1. So now area of ILD will be like this as shown in this figure. So one span is prior to this member now, and rest of spans are after this span. So we will find the force coming into, some force is going into tension area, tension zone, and some force will be going into compression zone. So this is due to the distance of spans and load are coming from both ends. So the reversal of the stress will be in this member. So we will find out the HC in compression zone and HC in tension zone. So HC in tension zone will be the span divided by total number of span. So HT in tension zone, HT will be 1 divided by 8, which is 0.125 as you are seeing here, and HC will be the 6 spans after this span, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and this will be 6 by 8, which comes out to be 0.75. Now we will find out the area of the compression zone and tension zone. So the area of compression zone first, so it will be the base of the triangle will be from here to here, and base of this triangle in tensile zone will be from here to here. So we have to find out this position X. Suppose this position X is from this support is X. Okay, so the remaining distance will be 3 minus X. Clear? So now we know these ordinates. This is 0.125 and this is 0.875. 0.75. Okay, so we can find out these by interpolation method. So X, this base divided by this propand, should be equal to or in proportion this base divided by this height. So X by 0.125, this should be equal to 3 minus X divided by 0.75. Okay, so X value we can find out by this will come out to be 0.428 meter. So now we can find out the area of the triangles, because now we are knowing the base length of the both triangles. So area of the triangle in tension zone will be half into base into height. So the total area will come out to be half into 20.52572. This is base for the compression area triangle multiplied by 0.75. This is height of the triangle in compression zone, and minus half of 3.428 multiplied by 0.125. This is base and this is height of the triangle, and this all multiplied by the total forces separately. So finding out the area of the both triangles. So in compression zone, the area of the compression triangle comes out to be 7.71 meter square, minus area of the tensile triangle, tensile zone, comes out to be 0.21 meter square. So net or resultant area is 7.5 meter square. Now we are going to find out the forces in compression zone and tension zone separately for the dead load and live load both. So first of all, the resultant force will be total resultant force in member due to dead load will be 7.5 multiplied by 11.6. This is dead load. So the total load force in member P U1 L1 due to dead load comes out to be 87 kilonewton, which is compressive in nature. Now load due to live load in member P U1 L1. So first of all, the compressive nature of the load will be 7.71 into 15, which comes out to be 115.65 kilonewton, which is compressive in nature. And then tensile nature force due to live load in this member comes out to be 0.21 multiplied by 15, which comes out to be minus 3.15 kilonewton, and it is of tensile nature, because we are seeing the both type of stresses are coming due to live load. So separately we have find out these two forces separately. So now resultant force in member or in combination of dead load and live load, the resultant force in member P U1 L1 will be maximum 87 plus 115.65, which is equal to 202.65 kilonewton of compressive nature, and minimum, now deducting the tensile nature load. So P U1 L1 equal to 87 minus 3.15, which comes out to be 83.85, which is also of compressive nature. Now force in second member U2 L2, area in compression and area in tension zone will be like this diagram. So supposing again the intersection distance is x as shown here, and remaining is 3 minus x, and this is the second member. So third span will be the interchanging span, or where the compression and tension zone will change their sign. So we have to find out the value of, first of all, HC and HT. So value of HT is 2 by 8, as you are seeing, 2 span, prior this span, 2 by 8 is 0.25, and HC will be 5 by 8. You are seeing the 5 span, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. So HC will be 5 by 8, and this comes out to be 0.625. Now you have to find out the value distance of x. So x will be 0.857 on solving this equation. S by 0.25 equal to 3 minus x divided by 0.625. So compression area or area of the triangle which is in compression zone will be equal to half BC into 0.625, and BC here comes out to be 5 into 5, 5 into 3 plus 3 minus 0.857, and it comes out to be 17.143. In the same way, BT, base of the triangle in tension, this will be 3 into 2 plus 0.857. It comes out to be 6.857. So now the compression area will be half of 17.143 into 0.625 minus, this is tension area, tensile area, half of 6.857 multiplied by 0.25, and these separately comes out to be 5.36, and this is coming minus 0.86. So resultant area is 4.5 meter square. Hence force in member U2 L2. So due to dead load, the force will be net area multiplied by the dead load. So 4.5 into 11.6, it comes out to be 52.2 kilonewton, which is compressive in nature. And due to live load, compression area will be 5.36 into live load 15 kilonewton. So it comes out to be 80.4 kilonewton, which is of compressive nature. And in tensile zone, so minus 0.86, the area of the triangle multiplied by 15 kilonewton. So it comes out to be minus 12.9 kilonewton tensile nature. So resultant force and resultant combination of the force in member P U2 L2. So dead load plus live load, 52.2 plus 80.4, it comes out to be 132.6, which is in compressive nature, and dead load minus live load tensile. So it comes out to be 52.2 minus 12.9, and again it is also coming in 39.3 of compressive nature. Now force in the next member, third member U3L3. So this is the diagram of the ILD and finding out the ordinate of the height of the triangle. So HT will be 3 by 8, 0.375, and HC will be 4 by 8, 0.5, and the X value of X will be 1.285 meter. So the area of the triangles in compression zone and tension zone will be like this. This is base of compressive triangle, 12 plus 3 minus 1.285, which is 13.715, and base of triangle of tensile is section tensile zone, it comes out to be 9 plus 1.285, so it is 10.285. So area of the triangles are accordingly in compressive area 3.43 meter square, and in tension area it is 1.93 meter square. So net area is 3.43 minus 1.93 equal to 1.5 meter square. So force in member PU3L3 by dead load is 1.5 into 11.6, which is equal to 17.4 kilonewton, which is of compressive nature. And forces in member U3L3, PU3L3, due to live load in compression zone, it is 3.43 multiplied by 15, which is 51.45, and also it is of compressive nature. And then force in tensile zone So 1.93 area into 15 kilonewton live load equal to minus 28.95. This is force of tensile nature. So now resultant force or combination of forces in member U3 L3, the resultant force due to dead load and live load, it comes out to be 17.4 plus 51.45, which is 68.85 kilonewton of compressive nature, and then minimum is DL minus live load tensile. So 17.4 minus 28.95, which is minus 11.55 of tensile nature. So this is first time this resultant is coming of tensile nature. So all the forces have been calculated in all the vertical members. Now we will calculate the forces in inclined member. As you are seeing the triangle, this is a panel length L0, L1, and this is height of the lattice girder, and this is inclined member. So we have to find out force in this D. We all know the panel length and height of the bridge is same. So this angle theta will be equal to 45 degree. So we all know by the trigonometry that D will be equal to V cosec theta or V cosec 45. So we can find out the force in the inclined member with the help of the vertical member and the horizontal member, bottom chord member. So here the table is given for calculation of the loads. So the vertical member U0 L0, U1 L1, U2 L2, U3 L3, and maximum and minimum forces are given 279.3. Here minimum is nil, and in U1 L1 the maximum force is 202.65 and minimum is 83.85, both of compressive nature. And in member U2L2, the maximum load is 132.6 kilonewton and minimum is 34.3 kilonewton, which is compressive nature. In member U3L3, the maximum is 68.85 of compressive nature and minimum is minus 11.55 kilonewton, which is of tensile nature. Only in this member this force, minimum force is 11.55 of tensile nature. So now calculate the forces in members accordingly by the above formula V cosec 45. So the load in inclined member U0L1 will be equal to minus 395, means this is of tensile nature, and here because the minimum is nil, so it will be nil. So force in inclined member U2L2, it comes out to be 286.5 of tensile nature, so it is negative, and here minimum will be 118.56 and U2L3 minus 187.5 kilonewton of tensile nature and minus 55.6 kilonewton of tensile nature, and in member U3L4, which is minus 97.07 of tensile nature, and this force, the minimum force, comes out to be 16.33 of compressive nature. So now shape of ILD for these diagonal members will be same as that of vertical member, but it will be opposite in nature. As you can see here, all the forces are of opposite nature. Here compressive and here it is tensile. Here compressive, here tensile, both tensile. Here compressive and here both tensile. Here this is compressive and this is tensile. So here this is tensile and this is compressive. So you can see the relation in the forces. Now design forces. So we will select the worst forces for designing the members. So for top chord members, the worst force is 638.4 kilonewton of compressive nature, and for bottom chord member the load is because all the load in bottom chord members are of tensile nature. So this load is 598.5 kilonewton of tensile nature. And for vertical members, both type of stresses are there. So the 279.3 kilonewton of compressive and minus 11.55 kilonewton of tensile. And for diagonal member, the force is 16.33 kilonewton of compressive nature and minus 395 kilonewton of tensile nature. So we have to design the members for the worst conditions. So design of tension member first of all. So for bottom chord members, as per IS code, we have to design these members, and the recommendation of IS 800 2007 from page number 32. So gross area of section of any member required for tensile force T, AG will be equal to T into gamma mo divided by Fy. Here AG is gross sectional area, T is tensile force. So maximum tensile force for the member here is 598.5 kilonewton, as we have seen earlier. Here this is 598.5, this force. So the section area of the member can be found out to be area should be 263.2633.4 mm square. The provided area will be provide 2 ISA 125 by 75 by 8 mm back to back two angles. So provided area will be 2 times into 1538 centimeters mm square. So provided area is 3076 mm square, which is greater than the required this 2633.4 mm square. Hence it's okay. Now check the design strength of the provided section. So TDY should be equal to AG into Fy divided by gamma mo by the same formula used for designing it. So AG is 3076 mm square multiplied by 250 divided by gamma mo 1.1. So this design strength comes out to be 699.1 kilonewton, which is greater than 598.5 kilonewton. We have designed for this force, but the strength of the provided section comes out to be 699.1 kilonewton. Hence the design is okay. Now design of compression member. So in designing of compression member, you have to recommend the IS code IS 800 2007 and from page number 42. So design load is 638.4, the maximum compressive load, as we have seen earlier. So now, but we have to assume that slenderness ratio should be lie in between 100 to 150. It should not be away from this range for avoiding the buckling failure of the section. So assume slenderness ratio equal to 100 and FCD is, for this slenderness ratio, FCD is 107 MPa. So the sectional area required AG will be P divided by FCD. So P, the compressive force, is 638.4 into 10 raised to power 3 divided by 107, which is FCD, maximum critical compressive strength, design compressive strength. So the area of this angle or the section will be AG will be 5966 mm square. So provide two angles of ISA 150 into 115 into 12 mm. The area provided is 2 into 3038 or 6076 mm square, which is more than the area required, 5966. Hence it's okay. So the design of the compressive and tensile members both are completed. Now the design of lattice girder brace is over. So thank you for attending the class. Thank you very much.